Hello, everyone. Luann Dunsford. So who am I? CEO of MichiganWorks Association. That's not very, I mean, I guess that might be interesting, but I'm from the Upper Peninsula. I love dogs. I like sporting group and hound group, and I feed the birds. So if anybody wants to talk about any of that, come and see me afterwards. Thank you, Mallory, my Director of Public Relations, for putting this together for me, because I can barely run the clicker. We'll see how it goes. I want to give a brief overview of MichiganWorks and what MichiganWorks means. So MichiganWorks is part of the larger national system of workforce development. In Michigan, it's branded as MichiganWorks. It's been branded that for over 30 years. I work for the MichiganWorks Association, and so we do advocacy, education, connection. There's probably 16, 17 state associations across the nation. I'm working hard with my colleagues to try to develop more of them. A stronger state association acts as an intermediary and really moves things forward quite well. California, New York, Michigan are the three strongest, and we work together very strongly to push national advocacy efforts forward. We have 16 MichiganWorks agencies. They are all independent. Every once in a while, someone will come to me and say, hey, can MichiganWorks do this? And I said, yes, but I don't have the magic wand. I serve them. So what I explain is very much like everybody has an association. The dentists have an association, and the dentists on the street fix teeth. Their dental association provides the dentist's services. So please, nobody come and ask me if I can help you find a job, because I will point you to your local MichiganWorks agency and they can help you find the job. So that is how we are arranged. They are a network, but they are independent organizations. And the double-edged sword of them is the basic principle that keeps me here and has kept me here for 20 years plus, is that what makes sense locally makes sense. And so while the federal government sets vision and the state government sets vision, ultimately it's at the local level where they're able to take these programs and policies and mix them into something very, very interesting. And how you would deliver services and what you would deliver in the Upper Peninsula is very different than what you would do in the city of Detroit versus the Thumb versus Southwest Michigan. And to be able to have that local response is so critically important because of the nature of the industries that are there. So what's interesting about Michigan that we take for granted is that we are incredibly integrated. So you will hear in things coming out, news coming out of DC, there's all these various programs. There's 47 different MichiganWorks programs. Well, that is true, and there's some very large ones, or federal programs. But in Michigan, under Governor Engler several governors ago, he took those silos, put them together, flipped them horizontally where we braid and integrate services. And so in other states where if you want services under one program, you have to go to a building. One example is our Welfare to Work program, which is under TANF. I will talk about TANF later. That's Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. In California, for example, that program, their Welfare to Work program, is delivered by the local system, but it's negotiated county by county. And so if you go back, if you look up in the Upper Peninsula, you can see there's a lot of counties up there. In Michigan, we have it organized, and we've had it for decades, where we have one state program, so it's consistent, versus trying to negotiate county by county. So in Michigan, we feel very fortunate that we are as integrated as we are. Nothing perfect, but we certainly are further down the line. I talked about the MichiganWorks organizations being independent. So a couple of years ago, they were trying to figure out their mission and vision statement, and we were talking about Michigan Works for People. Well, as they got this really 17, 18 word sentence that had a lot of syllables, they got it done and it said everything they wanted to say, and I looked at it and said, I cannot remember that, I can't say it. Economic prosperity, everyone works. That's the big umbrella that I look at, and that's what I try to go to. In 2000, when I first got into MichiganWorks in about the late 90s, it was a very supply-side organization. And if you needed training, you could come into a MichiganWorks office, and it's all dependent on whether resources are available. I want to learn how to do whatever. They would put you in training. And that wasn't, and I didn't really support it. I didn't have a voice at that time that was effective over time. kind of honed that, and in 2007 they adopted a demand-driven definition. And when I talk about the system being demand-driven, depending on who is in the room, it can sound harsh. And so I care about what it is that you want to learn in, but I care more about effective use of our tax dollars. And because they're limited, we have to be smart. And if we have an industry sector in your area that is hiring and you need training, we need to know what the employers need so we can get you in training for that. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. You just don't get to do it with our tax dollars. And so that's what demand-driven means. We're recognizing what the employers need in our region, and we are training people for those jobs. Now, what does that mean for the supply side? What it actually means is we are serving the supply side more effectively and more efficiently and more innovatively. Because once we understand what's needed in a region, we can say, okay, here's our pipeline. Boom, they're in. Uh-oh, here's some people, they need a little bit of training. We can work with our higher education, whether it's community college or universities or whatever, employers, whatever we need to get them in and move them. But uh-oh, here's a whole bunch of people over here, or a group of people that aren't even close to being in the pipeline. What are we going to do in our region with our community partners? I saw Crystal Ray here, great community partner. What are you going to do to get those people into that pipeline? And that is what demand-driven means. It does not mean leaving anybody behind. It means moving them along more effectively, more efficiently, and using our tax dollars wisely and well to do so. So MichiganWorks, when you think about what does MichiganWorks do, we have all these service centers throughout the state where you can go in if you're a job seeker or an employer and get services. That's all true. But that is driven by a workforce development board that is comprised of local leaders. So if you go to a capital area MichiganWorks workforce development board meeting, and the capital area MichiganWorks is Eaton, Clinton, and Ingham in this area, you'll see their economic development LEAP. You'll see Lansing Community College, Michigan State University, the media, manufacturing is there, insurance is there. All these state partners are coming together to try to figure out how to use your resources and how are you going to partner and drive your region forward. So it's that intermediary between services and strategy, and it's pretty powerful. Today we've talked about something I'm so excited to be here, and that is looking at our K-12, our education systems, even universities. How are you training teachers to be able to do the job? And I have to say, Dean Floden, you gave me a nugget that I'm so excited about that I hadn't really thought about. When I get into these conversations about K-12, I say, fine, let's hold K-12 accountable. Let's hold MichiganWorks accountable. Let's hold our administration accountable. But we have to recognize that they need some support and they need services. And I just hadn't connected the dots that all of the teachers that are out there, that they're incredible teachers, but the world has changed and they haven't been taught how to teach computer science. That's incredible. How do we do that? So that's a whole nother thing that I'm going to dive into and be able to talk about. I'd like to talk about Alice households. Alice, this is the United Way. Alice is asset limited, income constrained, employed. So while we're talking about all of the students and moving people through and what we need on the end, this is a startling and very upsetting statistic. 40% of households in Michigan, even in the most affluent counties, meet the Alice household definition. And the Alice household definition is barely enough to survive on money. Not thrive, barely survive. And I would say you can go to read the full report on the Alice household link and get on and go to, what is it? I can't read it. I don't have my glasses on, but it's on the slide so you guys can see it. But go in and read United Way, the Alice report, and you'll be stunned. Since 2007, our cost of living, the 18%, has gone up by 18%. So a budget for a household has gone up 18%, but the wages haven't gone up. And in Michigan, we've got this 2/3 of our jobs are low-wage jobs. So you combine all of that together, and you've got 40% of our households are vulnerable. So what does that mean? So I am an older mom with just one child. My house is paid off. Both of my husband work. We've got cars. It's fine. And it's still hard. Right? So you start to take all of that away, and you're a single mom with one or more kids, maybe shaky transportation. You're deciding, am I going to eat? Am I going to pay a bill? What am I going to do? It's juggling. And your child is vulnerable, and they're not going to school. And we're expecting our teachers to solve the world because they've got a hungry child that hasn't slept. And when they get home, they don't really have a parent there to help them read or learn to read or do their studies. And has anybody tried to teach a child to read lately? And the English language, I will bring your attention to the letter Y, which if you have somebody that doesn't really read immediately, as my daughter doesn't, the letter Y can be E like really, I like try, or Y like yellow. Good luck. And if you've got a child in there in one of these 40% households, it's true, right? It's just amazing. This is a statistic that we need to pay attention to, and that's why it's so critical that as we're moving kids through, that they are moving into jobs that they don't make that 40% become 41, 42, 43. And that is why our work is important to your work, because together we're going to break that generational cycle. The Skilled Trades Training Fund that Jeremy talked about, so this has got to be, this administration had it right. I've battled with various secretaries of labor in DC for what they call incumbent worker training, and to try to get them to understand the critical nature of this so that you can move people up. And so if Luann shows up at work and I'm trainable, I'm there 10 minutes early like my dad taught me, I've got a good attitude, but your industry has changed and you're like, uh-oh, I don't want to lose Luann, I want to invest in her. I've got some money, can we have a little bit of money coming in? Because you can see we invest 15 and we leverage 245 million. It's incredible. It's not corporate welfare. And in so doing, I now move Luann up and I can say, okay, I can come in and bring John, Jim, Jenny into an entry-level position. Picture that Alice household. We're starting to get a little bit, and it's this career pathways concept that Jeremy talked about. And so the Skilled Trades Training Fund, when you're looking at policy changes, I know that we're going to have a bill, if it was not introduced today, was it today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday? Yeah. Fantastic. We want that to live on. That is something that we want. So my call to action, Skilled Trades Training Fund, we want incumbent worker training. We want to make sure that we've got that. TANF reauthorization, temporary assistance for needy families. You're going to start to see more dialogue in Washington, D.C., and you're certainly seeing dialogue around work requirements. What I would say is be very, very cautious when you're talking about it, when you say work requirements, that it needs to be more work participation or work activity requirements. There's requirements to get you to work. And I fully support it. I think it's fantastic to be able to get somebody the help that they need. If they're willing to come in and do the work, we need to be able to match and really move them forward to break these cycles. And so as we look forward to TANF reauthorization, right now the TANF requirements, the federal TANF requirements, don't really allow for things like high school equivalency or remedial training that is needed to be able to get people into voc rehab and certificates and career pathways. So we're going to keep a really close eye on that, and I would say that as you're reading that, please know that that is something that we're going to be taking a look at. I tried to keep it short and sweet. This is something that I feel very passionate about, so if anybody ever wants to sit down with me and have coffee, I will talk your ears off, but I thank you very much for your time.